Icy here with a build update to my Magicka Warden Healer, Volga Volarus. It's been a few months since the last update, so let's get into it. And of course, timestamps will be in the description below. Okay, before I go into the gear, I will put a link in the description to a video I made on how I design my PvP healers. My builds are very formulaic when it comes to how I set up gear, weapons, enchants, traits, weights, and champion points. So if I don't mention it in this video, you know where to find it. For the monster set, we are using a two-piece Chokethorn. It's got one line of Magicka Recovery, which is always nice since all of our abilities are Magicka based, and the second line, when you use a heal ability, you have a 33% chance to summon a Strangler Sapling that heals you or an ally for X amount over 6 seconds. This can proc once every 10 seconds, so really it has a 4-second downtime. I've been using this monster set a lot in BGs the last few weeks, and honestly I kind of like it. It's a bit different than running Earthcore every BG, but now I just find myself running Chokethorn every BG. I think my favorite part about this set is that it functions similar to Engine Guardian, where you can use it to line of sight and absorb damage for you. Granted, it can be interrupted or killed, but I think that's a fair compromise because when it procs, your opponent now has two options. Do I continue to fight through the heal or waste resources trying to kill this little tree? For the body set, we are using 5 pieces of the Arcasis set. It's got a line of max health, armor, and max health, which are all solid stats when selecting a heavy armor set. And the 5th line says whenever you drink a potion while in combat, you and 3 group members gain 44 ultimate. It's important to know that the range on this is 28 meters. I don't know why they didn't mention it, but I think it's a good tip to be aware of. After doing a lot of BGs, I've come up with 4 scenarios where I will proc this set. The first is if I use my ultimate, I'll pop a potion to get more ultimate back in the tank. If I see my ally use an ultimate, then I'll pop a potion to get them more ultimate. Number 3, naturally, if I am just low on resources, then yes, I'll just hit a potion anyways. And the last one, if the situation calls for it and I need to use my ult, but I don't have enough in the tank unless I hit a potion, then yes, I will indeed pop a potion. And the last point, I think this is going to be my new favorite heavy armor set for PvP healers, and you're definitely, most probably, going to see me wear this more often on my other classes. Okay, the second set we are running is 5 pieces of Gossamer. This will be on our weapons and jewelry. It's got a line of Magicka Recovery, Max Magicka, and Max Magicka. The 5th bonus is when you heal yourself or an ally, you grant them Major Evasion for 1 second, reducing damage from area attacks by 20%. If you think about how many abilities are AoE in the game, this set is extremely useful. It's important to know that this set will only trigger if you are less than 100% health, which functions the same way as the transmutation set, which is totally fine because if you or your ally are taking damage, as soon as one heal tick goes off, this set will proc. Alright, let's talk about the skills. On the front bar, we are using a restoration staff. Our first ability is going to be Illustrious Healing. This is a great ground targeted heal over time. I'll usually throw this down first to set the stage of where the fight is going to be, and then just reapply it if we either move too far from it or if it just runs out. The second ability is Corrupting Pollen. This is another ground targeted heal. However, instead of a heal over time, it will grow over 6 seconds and do a big burst heal for anyone within range. It also grants a synergy for allies that will trigger an immediate heal over time. Lastly, my favorite part is the Major Defile, which applies healing reduction for any enemies standing within it. When we are on the offensive, similar to the way Shifting Standard works on the DK, I will often try to reposition the Major Defile so that the enemy that my ally is chewing on maintains a healing debuff. The third ability is Race Against Time. This is a staple in all of my PvP healer builds. The reason why I always pick this over Deceptive Predator on the Warden is because of the Snare Immobilization, Cleanse, and Immunity. In my opinion, that alone makes it far superior. Equally, if I was running Deceptive Predator, I think I would wind up dodge rolling more, and since we are primarily in heavy armor, those are going to be more costly on my stamina because of the penalties to roll dodging. The fourth ability is Radiating Regeneration. This is a solid, smart, targeted heal over time that will hit 3 allies within range, and I'll be honest, I feel like you're not a healer if you don't have this ability. The 5th ability is Ice Fortress. This is our armor buff that grants Major Resolve and also minor protection. Now, I just want to say this, I love playing support 24/7 and I will always pick the option to help a teammate out. However, what I've learned recently is that you want to do it with intention. I'll give an example. If my buddy Grim over at Grimsword Gaming and I are running down in the sewers and he's on his mag sword, we can be a bit more strategic with our setup. I can run Expansive Cloak and provide the major resolve for him. That would free him up and he wouldn't have to run Boundless Storm and could instead run something like Race Against Time. If you're not being intentional with your morph selection, don't sell yourself short without a good reason. Always pick Ice Fortress. The front bar ultimate is going to be Healing Thicket. This is another great ground targeted heal over time. My two favorite parts about this ultimate is that when your allies run out of it, it will place a 4-second heal over time on them, and the second is that it only costs 90 ultimate. When you combine this with the Arcasis set, you can pretty much cast this ability twice in about 15 seconds. Okay, for the back bar, we are running Sword and Board. The first ability is going to be Shimmering Shield, which is probably my favorite ability in the Warden class. It's a shield that will absorb the first 3 projectiles that make contact, return Magicka, and grant you major heroism for 6 seconds after the first projectile hits. I typically cast this when I see myself getting peppered with range attacks. The second ability is Radiant Mage Light. The main focus for this is to catch Night Blades that go invisible in front of us, and of course, having a slotted Major Prophecy is a nice little bonus. The third ability is Polar Winds. This is your burst heal for both yourself and your ally. The only negative part is that it has a 6-meter range, but I don't really complain about it. I typically try to play as close to my DPS when possible, so if they need me, I can target them without any problem. The fourth ability is Energy Orb. This is a new ability on my bar. I used to not like it for PvP, but I noticed some other people using it, and it certainly provides a ton of healing in game. And the second bonus is that your allies can hit the synergy to get back resources. The fifth ability is Bull Edge, which is probably my second favorite ability on the Warden class. For one, it's free. 2, it provides stamina every second. 3, provides both major brutality and sorcery. 4, it will cleanse 1 negative effect every 5 seconds. I like the Bull Edge over the Betty Edge for 2 particular reasons. 1, I honestly don't have any magic or sustain issues. And 2, when I hold block, my stamina recovery will stop, but the stamina recovery from the Netch will not. So it's a nice little feature there, and I think if I was running an Ice Staff, then yes, I would swap over to the Betty Netch. The back bar ultimate I use is Sturdy Horn. It's such a weird ability, and I say weird because nobody uses this morph of it. The base will increase your group's max Magicka and stamina by 10% for 30 seconds, which is awesome for PvP, but this particular morph will also grant 1300 crit resistance for 10 seconds, which is really useful in PvP. Okay, so for flex options, I mean, you know, what kind of build would it be if it didn't allow for flex options? So I'm gonna put a little picture here on what I would consider the foundation or core of the skill selection for this particular build. On the front bar, of course, Illustrious Healing, Race Against Time, Radiating Regeneration, Ice Fortress, and then on the back bar, Shimmering Shield, Polar Winds, and Bull Edge. This leaves you with 5 abilities open for you to play around with, and I'll just put 2 little pictures here to give you some examples on how you could fill this in. And for Cyrodiil, this is my current setup that I run. And remember, you want to have fun and play around with what you like. Okay, so for the combat tip section, I'm just going to go over the rotation on how you should use them and when you should use them. For healing, your primary rotation is going to be Illustrious Healing into Corrupting Pollen, into Radiating Regeneration, and then bar swap into Energy Orbs. And then once you have your HOTS ticking, you'll want to always be heavy attacking so you can get your resources back and also proc Major Mending. Number 2, for buffs, it's going to be obviously Ice Fortress into Bull Edge or Bull Edge into Ice Fortress, depending on what bar you're currently on. I like having my buffs on the same button so I can animation cancel with bar swap. For ultimate usage, I have one basic rule. I use the back bar ultimate to start the fights and the front bar ultimate every time it's up during the fight. Obviously, if the fight is relatively easy, then I just use that as an opportunity to build ultimate with my light attacks. Number 4, Shimmering Shield. You should only use this ability when you see yourself getting hit by range attacks or if there are an uncharacteristic amount of sorks in the BG. Number 5 is Mage Light. You should only use this when you see someone stealth in front of you, otherwise it will be a huge waste of Magicka since this ability costs about 4,000. And lastly, Polar Winds. This is strictly used defensively. You typically want to save it to burst heal yourself when you get jumped on, holding block, and then pressing Polar Winds, as well as if you see an ally that's slow next to you. Equally, when playing defensive, when you're spamming Polar Winds, I also like to spam Bull Edge as well, which is why I have that on my back bar and not the front bar. Alright guys, I think that's everything. I would highly recommend giving the Warden Healer a shot in PvP. It's honestly my most recommended and my favorite class to play. And lastly, if you have any questions, feel free to comment below or just let me know what you thought about the video. And yeah, with that, I'll catch you guys on the next one. See ya.